If you follow my channel as of late, you know the Dell XPS 13 9300 has been at the forefront, and for good reason. It's one of the best clamshell laptops, 13-inch laptops you can get right now. It checks off all the right boxes, and it's definitely one of the best clamshells I've ever used. That's right, for the thin and light category, this might be the ticket. But I wanted to take a look at a 2-in-1 that we looked at late last year that has probably the best price to value ratio and could give the Dell XPS 13 a run for its money. And hence, we're gonna do the showdown. Hey everybody, this is Andrew, and this is the showdown between the Dell XPS 13 for 2020 and the HP Spectre X360 13-inch. Coming up. Today's video is brought to you by Zyro, one of the easiest and most powerful ways to create a website on the internet today. Find out later in this video how you can save 30% off building your next website with Zyro. Want to see more videos like this? Why not hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell? This way you'll be alerted every time I post a new video. Make sure you follow me on social media, especially Twitter and Instagram, because that's where I post all the latest updates. And in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Dell, I'm not being paid by HP. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own, and no one is seeing this video before its release. Once this showdown is done, I will be sending these units back to Dell and HP. And with that out of the way, let's begin the showdown. Now when it comes to hardware, both are excellent. The HP Spectre X360 has a beautiful premium all-metal build with that gem cut design. The Dell XPS 13 9300 to me has a slightly better build, slightly better hardware, and a more premium feel. Not to say that the Spectre X360 does not have a premium feel, because it certainly does. But to me, the Dell XPS 13 has a slightly more premium feel to it in terms of the hardware. And when it comes to design, they both offer something pretty unique. Now, the HP Spectre X360, of course, has that gem cut design. It not only looks good, but it offers functionality with good placements of the power button and, of course, the USB Thunderbolt 3 ports. Now, as far as the Dell XPS 13 is concerned, I absolutely love that glass woven fiber in the interior, and I love that frost white exterior, giving off a sleek and modern look. They both look excellent in terms of the design, but I really like that sleek look of the XPS 13 slightly more than I do the gem cut design of the Spectre X360. They both look good, but again, the nod goes to the Dell XPS 13. When it comes to ports, there's a clear winner here, and that's going to be the HP Spectre X360 because it offers more ports than the Dell XPS 13, specifically a USB-A port, something the Dell XPS 13 doesn't have. The Dell XPS 13 offers 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, a headphone jack, and a micro SD card slot. Now they do give you a USB-A to USB-C adapter in the box. But the HP Spectre X360 is clearly the winner when it comes to ports. Okay, let's talk about those displays. They both are excellent, but there are some key differences between the two. Now, the Dell XPS 13 9300 has a 16:10 aspect ratio, whereas the HP Spectre X360 has a 16:9 aspect ratio. Now, this is important because you're going to get more screen real estate with the XPS 13 since it has a 13.4-inch display as opposed to a 13.3-inch display you get with the Spectre X360. But keep something in mind, the Spectre X360 has a 4K OLED option that is kind of expensive and really is simply gorgeous. However, out of the reach for the average consumer. I think most people will go for the Full HD IPS offering. It's a 1-watt low-power display, and it's excellent in its own right. So the direct comparison today will be against the Dell XPS 13's IPS Full HD Plus display. But keep in mind, you can get that OLED option if you want to. Now, also keep in mind the Dell XPS 13 9300 comes in a 4K option as well. It's a UHD Plus resolution, although I don't think most people need to go for that because that Full HD Plus is simply that good. It's really vibrant, the colors really pop, everything about it is excellent. And when it comes to screen brightness, the clear winner is the Dell XPS 13 coming in at 525 nits. The HP Spectre X360 with the 4K OLED display came in at 400 nits, and the HP Spectre X360 with the 1-watt Full HD option measured 348 nits. Again, both fell short of the Dell XPS 13's 525 nits. The Dell XPS 9300 has four-sided Infinity Edge display, which is absolutely gorgeous, 4 equal bezels around the four sides. The Spectre X360 has pretty slim bezels, although you will notice the chin on the bottom, and that's because you're going to be able to use this as a tablet, something you can't do with the Dell XPS 13. Both are excellent displays, but I'm going to give the win to the Dell XPS 13. It's just something a little bit more special about it. Now, when it comes to the webcams, both are not very good in my opinion, but they will get the job done for Zoom, for Skype, or for whatever video conference needs you may have, especially if you're working from home. Having said that, I think the Spectre X360 is slightly better than the XPS 13, and I think the audio is better as well. Now, let's give it a look and a listen to compare the two. No longer up your nose or chin cam like we saw years ago. It's above the display in a very small bezel. Pretty amazing engineering to put a Windows Hello infrared camera in such a small space. So this is the front-facing camera on the HP Spectre X360, late 2019. And as you can see, this is a 720p 30 frames per second camera. Now the HP Spectre X360 has a webcam kill switch, something the Dell XPS 13 doesn't have. And when it comes to the webcam, I'm going to give the win to the HP Spectre X360. Now, before we get to the user upgradability category, let's hear from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Zyro, one of the easiest and fastest ways to make a website today on the internet. It's fast, it's powerful, and it gets the job done. Zyro features dozens of designer-made website templates that don't just look great but work beautifully too, so just pick one and start your online presence. Every Zyro website can be set up in under an hour and then load at lightning speed. Milliseconds matter here, so don't make your visitors wait. It's extremely easy to build and fast to load. So head on over to Zyro.com and don't forget to use the promo code AMDTech to get 30% off all paid Zyro plans. Again, that's a deal you don't want to miss. And I want to thank Zyro for sponsoring today's video. And when it comes to user upgradability, well, I gotta say it's pretty much a draw. That's because they both allow you to swap out the SSD, which is good, but you can't upgrade the RAM on either model. They're both soldered into the motherboard. So that's a drawback for both. I'm gonna say this is a draw in this category. Now, speaking of the SSD, I thought it was better on the Dell XPS 13 because the HP Spectre X360 uses the Intel Optane memory with an SSD, and I found that reads and writes were not as good as we find on the Dell XPS 13. But there is an advantage with the Dell XPS 13. You can configure it up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the HP Spectre X360 caps out at 16 gigabytes of RAM. The win goes to the Dell XPS 13, of course. And when it comes to performance, they're both running Intel's 10th generation quad-core processor, the Core i7-1065G7. That's the Ice Lake processor. It's a quad-core CPU with Intel Iris Plus graphics. And as you can see from these results, it's pretty much a wash. They're both pretty much on par with each other when it comes to performance. Now keep in mind both are very thin and light laptops and will thermal throttle if you really push it to maximum load, and that's exactly what we saw on both units, so it's a wash in that regard. Okay, let's talk about the battery life, and as you can see the Dell XPS 13 9300 has a 52 watt-hour battery and the HP Spectre X360 has a 60.7 watt-hour battery. And the HP Spectre X360 1 watt Full HD model outpaced the others with the 12 hours and 5 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. The XPS 13 with its Full HD Plus display did a very respectable 10 hours and 12 minutes. The HP Spectre X360 comes with a 65 watt USB-C power adapter. It's pretty compact and it took less than 2 hours for a full charge, whereas the Dell XPS 13 comes with a 45 watt power adapter, also very quick in terms of charging, 1 hour and 56 minutes, so it's a wash in terms of charging. But the winner in terms of the battery life is the HP Spectre X360. Now when it comes to the audio, both the HP Spectre X360 and the Dell XPS 13 have bottom-firing speakers, and I think both of them sound very good. Let's give them a listen to find out which one sounds better.
Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and first look at the Dell XPS 13, all new for 2020. Coming up. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and first look at the Dell XPS 13, all new for 2020. Coming up.
Although both of them sounded good, I thought the Dell sounded a little bit more richer, a little bit more fuller. Now when it comes to the keyboards, I really like the Spectre X360. It has good key travel, good tactile feedback, and I also like the Dell XPS 13 9300. This is an improvement over the XPS 13 2-in-1 we looked at late last year, so that's nice to see that improvement. And in fact, I think I like it a little bit better than the Spectre X360's keyboard. It just feels a little bit more comfortable, and to me it's a little bit more quieter as well. Let's give it a listen to see which one is louder. Well, both keyboards are very good. I think the Dell is a little bit better. That's why it's going to get the win in this category. Okay, let's talk about the touchpads, and I'm glad that HP moved away from the Synaptics touchpads we saw a couple of years ago and went with the more responsive precision drivers like we find in the Dell XPS 13. But I think the Dell XPS 13's improved trackpad, it's a bigger trackpad, and I think it's overall a little bit more responsive, and I'm going to give the win in this category to the Dell XPS 13, although the Spectre X360's touchpad is pretty good. Next up is the intangibles. These are things such as the versatility of the device, and that's where the HP Spectre X360 has a win over the Dell XPS 13. Being able to use it with the different modes and of course use with the pen makes this a winner in my book. But keep in mind, if you want pen support and the versatility of a convertible, you can get the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1. I reviewed that late last year. Also of note is the fact that the HP Spectre X360 comes with an OLED display option, something you can't get with the Dell XPS 13. You could also get it with LTE, again something the XPS 13 doesn't offer. Because of its versatility, the HP Spectre X360 wins the versatility category. And finally, the last category, and perhaps the most important category, is price to value ratio. And when you look at similarly spec devices here, you're looking at the Dell XPS 13 with a Core i7 Ice Lake, you're looking at the HP Spectre X360 with the same processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of SSD storage, Intel Iris Plus graphics, you're looking at $1749 for the XPS 13, you're looking at $1389 for the Spectre X360, which is a lot less money. And of course, if you're on the lookout for sales, both Dell and HP have very good sales, so always be vigilant for that. I'll always put the latest pricing in the link below. So when it comes to price and value, I'm going to give the win to the HP Spectre X360. And with the final score of 8-5, the winner of this showdown is the Dell XPS 13 9300. But of course, any one of these devices is excellent. The HP Spectre X360 was also my editor's choice, so keep that in mind. I reviewed both of these. I'll put the link to the reviews in the video description below. But I'm curious to know what you think. What would be your winner of this showdown? I am curious to know.
So what do you think about these two bad boys, the Dell XPS 13, the HP Spectre X360? Both are excellent. Both are recommendations, editor's choices, of course. I've reviewed both of them and they both get my go-ahead as far as the purchase decision. But I gotta pick one, and I'm gonna pick the Dell XPS 13 9300. It's just a little bit more premium feeling, although the Spectre X360 is highly premium in its own right. This just takes it to a little bit of a better premium feel and look in terms of build construction. There's no flex whatsoever. You do get a little flex on the HP Spectre X360. Now, of course, I really love the display, the Full HD Plus resolution. It's an IPS display. And when you're looking at that price range with the Full HD Plus, you can definitely go with this. Now, of course, you can get the HP Spectre X360 in a 4K OLED display. But again, you're going to sacrifice battery life. You're not going to do as well as if you went with the Full HD model. And I think that's why I wanted to compare the Full HD model or the Full HD Plus with the Full HD model of the Spectre X360. Now, of course, you'll get better battery life in that model with that Full HD low-powered 1-watt display of the Spectre X360. But the Dell XPS 13 to me gets the win because it really wins in style, design, hardware, and of course the display as we mentioned. Now battery life of course will be better on the Spectre X360, but the battery life is no slouch of course in the Dell XPS 13. Now I also like the speakers a little bit better on the XPS 13, although the Spectre X360 with its Bang & Olufsen speakers are really good in their own right. I think cooling, they're pretty much the same in terms of thermals. Performance are pretty much on par with each other. So it really comes down to how much do you want to pay. Of course, the Spectre X360 comes in at a better price than the XPS 13. But again, if you're willing to spend a little bit extra, I think this will push it over the edge. And I think you're going to get a little bit better experience with this, especially with that special display that this has. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm a big fan of this. I'm also a big fan of the Spectre X360, which made this a very tough showdown. But of course, if you go by the numbers, this got more wins. And so this is going to be the showdown winner. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.